Okay, in this session, we will continue the next part of the grid transformation. In last session, we have seen the why we need to transform the grid from physical plane to the computational plane, and this is your physical plane, which is at the top, and below is the computational plane. Physical plane is in XY coordinate system, and your computational plane is in xy eta coordinate system. Okay, now for transforming this, your physical plane, that is domain, from physical plane to the computational plane, we need the general transformation equations. Now these are the general transformation equations, where xi is function of xyt, eta is also function of xyt, and tau, if it is a time dependent problem, it is function of time only. Now these are the transformations of first order derivatives. Okay, now here we can transform the derivative of flow variable with respect to x. Here derivative of flow variable with respect to x, this is the second equation, and this is third equation, it is a derivative with respect to y. Now this is the derivative of flow variable with respect to time. Now in this we need the what we need these equations. You can see here this derivative of your coordinate, new coordinate with respect to older coordinate, here also with respect to older coordinate, now here with respect to time, and the derivative of this independent variables in a global coordinate system to the independent variable in sorry calculation in calculation plane to the uh, global coordinates in physical plane, that is your matrix. Okay, now now this is the this is the transformation of first order differential equation. After that we have seen the second order differential equation. Now this differential equation already I have shown you how we can transform the this second order derivative term from physical plane to the computational plane. Next, you see here, this is the complete transformation of flow variable, that is second derivative of the flow variable from physical plane to the computational domain, that is physical domain to the computational domain. This is with respect to x, here it is with respect to y. Next one, from transformation we are getting matrix and Jacobian. Matrix already I have shown. Now Jacobian we need for inverse transformation. Now for inverse transformation we have taken this first order derivative example, and we got this as a Jacobian term. That is, it is the determinant of the matrix formed by the derivative of your physical independent variable in independent variable in the physical plane with respect to the independent variable in computational domain. Okay, and derivative can be written by using inverse transformation, like 1 upon Jacobian into these terms. Okay, now after that we have seen the formal transformation, and how this formal transformation is same to the inverse transformation. Okay, that means how inverse transformation and formal transformations are same, that also we have seen. Next one, this is your procedure for inverse transformation. Okay, and these are the derivatives which are obtained from inverse transformation, and these are the same to that of the formal transformation. Okay, so your inverse transformation and formal transformation both are same. That is, here in formal transformation we are writing the computational plane in terms of physical plane, and in case of inverse transformation we are writing the physical plane in terms of the computational plane. Okay, now any doubt up to here? If you have doubt, you can ask me up to here. Yes. Any doubt? If you have doubt, you can ask me. Nitish Gupta, have you doubt? Nitish?
No, sir. No.
Okay, I will go to the next one. Now, next one, algebraic grid transformation or grid generation technique, we can say. Grid transformation technique or grid generation technique. It is the simplest form of transformation technique, that is the algebraic method. The major advantage of this scheme is speed. That is, uh, here we can generate the grids with very high speed and algebraic equations. That is simple algebraic equations we are using for relate the grid points in the computational plane and those in physical plane. That means we are using algebraic simple algebraic equations for relating the uh, grid points in computational plane and physical plane. Now here this these relations we can derive by using the polynomial between these grid points. Okay, that means these algebraic relations, are generated by using interpolation polynomial between the specified boundary points or boundary grid points to the interior grid points. Okay. Now here, if you observe this, these are the boundary grid points. This here, this is your sorry. This is your physical plane, physical, and this one is computational. Now, if you observe these grid points or grid spacing in x direction, your grid spacing is constant, that is uniform, that is acceptable. But in case of vertical direction, at this location, your grid spacing is small, and on this side, this grid spacing is bigger. This is not acceptable for finite difference approximation. Okay. Now, so some polynomial is used between this some boundary grid points and in interior grid points for writing the relation between the independent variables in physical plane and your computational plane. Now, now if you observe this one here, uh, in horizontal axis, that is in x-axis, your grid spacing is constant, and that will be acceptable by finite difference approximation. So we are using first equation, that is first transformation equation, that is this xi is equal to x or zeta is equal to x. Okay. Now this will keep the constant spacing between two grid lines. Okay, two grid lines. Now next one. But in case of vertical direction, we need to write the transformation equation. What is this transformation equation? I will write this one equation, that is eta is equal to y by yt, y by yt. Now yt here, yt is the yt is the top grid point, that is top or it is the yt is the upper boundary, we can say. It is not top grid point, it is upper boundary. And if we write the upper boundary, here upper boundary is not constant, it is not constant, it is varying like this, it is varying like this. That means here finite difference approximation will accept this type of uh, this boundary. Okay, but you don't have this type of boundary, we have increasing boundary, so we need to convert that increasing boundary from your physical plane to the this computational plane. Now yt is the top boundary. Now how we can write that top boundary? Top boundary we can write like this, you can see here, yt is equal to h1 plus h2 minus h1 divided by L into x. L into x. If you write this top boundary, your equation for this uh, variable in computational domain, that is independent variable in computational domain, it will be formed like this. That because yt we have replaced by this h1 plus h2 minus h1x, and this can be written for inverse transformation also. That is, suppose inverse transformation, we can write x is equal to psi and y is equal to eta into h1 plus h2 minus h1 divided by L into you have x. Okay, this also we can write, that is your inverse transformation. Now after writing inverse transformation, you can observe this relation. It is for rectangular grid system with spacing is generated in computational plane. Now in computational plane, this spacing is generated, and it will form the this will form the this computational domain. That is, it will form the computational grid. Okay, and with equal spacing, and that spacing is we can calculate from this one also. Now this gives the top and horizontal top line horizontal in computational plane. That means this, if we use this equation, you will get the this top line, it is horizontal in the computational plane. Okay, now next one. Next one, according to our information, these are the equations for transforming the derivatives. That is, here field variable, derivative of field variable or flow variable with respect to x, it is 1 upon Jacobian into derivative of flow variable with respect to this xi coordinate and derivative of y with respect to eta coordinate, and so on. This is with respect to y. Now, in this relation, we have the metric and Jacobian terms, and these Jacobian terms need to be calculate for transformation. Okay. Now, how we can calculate this Jacobian terms? You see here, Jacobian term already I have seen, or I have given the example. Now, matrix terms. What are the matrix terms? Matrix terms is here. In case of inverse transformation, we don't have matrix term, but in case of formal transformation, we need the matrix term. What are the matrix terms? Here, first matrix term is dx derivative of next matrix term is with respect to y. Next is derivative of eta with respect to x, and derivative of eta with respect to y. These are the matrix terms. These are the matrix terms, and these matrix terms we need to calculate for calculation of the grid or transformation of differential equation. Now I will clean this and I will show you what is this one. Now next one. Now if we go for the matrix terms, first matrix term is derivative of psi with respect to x. Now if you go for this equation, here xi is equal to x, so your derivative is 1. Okay. Next one, second matrix term, it is psi with respect to y. Now as it is not a function of y, when we differentiate this equation, you will get 0. Next, we need to calculate the derivative of this term. Now if we calculate the derivative of d eta by dx, this equal to, here what you will get, here you see here, this is a multiplying factor, so multiplying factor of x. So when we differentiate this equation, what will get, h2 minus h1 divided by L into y and whole divided by, you will get h1 plus h2 minus h1 divided by L into, you have x square, sorry, into x is here and it's a square. Okay, this is the derivative of eta with respect to eta with respect to y. Now, and one more thing I want to tell you here, this derivative with respect to x should be negative. Why it should be negative? Because x is at this place. Okay, now again you can simplify this. How you can simplify this? I will write here. Here you can write this in terms of, here we have x and y coordinate. Now we can replace that x and y coordinate. How we can replace that x and y coordinate? I will tell you. Now here, because we need to replace, because we have to write all the equations in terms of your computational plane. Now you will get d eta by dx. Now you can see here I will take h2 minus h2 minus h1 divided by L is out, and one more term is y here, and below this h1 plus h2 minus h1 into, you have x and whole square. Now I will go back to this equation, this equation. You will get y is equal to, I will write here, y is equal to h1 plus h2 minus h1 divided by L into x into eta, that I will write. So this equation becomes h2 minus h2 is there, minus h2 minus h1, and below this there is a L. Now I am going to replace this y by this equation, that is h1 plus h2 minus h1 into, you have x divided by, sorry, not whole divided by, only divided by, for this term divided by L, and into eta is there, eta. Okay, now I will write this derivative as, you can see here, you can replace the x from this equation. You will get minus h2 minus h1 divided by L, h2 minus h1 divided by L, next into, now below this you have square of this one, that is h1 plus h2 minus h1 x divided by L. It has square of this term. One term from this will be cancelled with this one, so you will get here eta only, and below that, okay, I will clean this. Here you will get d eta by dx equal to minus h2 minus h1 divided by L into eta by h2 minus h2 plus h, sorry, here it is h1 plus h2 minus h1 divided by L. Now in place of x I am going to use xi, because xi equal to x. Now what I have done here, I have calculated derivative of this one. First I have calculated derivative of this one, that is differentiation with respect to x. Okay, now you will get one equation. Next, what I have done, now that derivative is in terms of the y and x, but when we want to solve the all equations in the physical plane, in computational plane, then we need to transform all the equations in terms of the xi and eta. So what I have done, I have written this equation in terms of eta, that is y is equal to this into eta. Okay, then I have used that term for replacing the y from equation. Okay, and here then you will get the term in terms of the x. Now for replacing x, I have used this relation. Okay, and with this you will get h2 plus h1 upon l eta h1 plus h2 minus h1 upon l, and this is xi. Okay, now this is the derivative, or it is a matrix term derivative of eta with respect to x. Okay, next one. Next, we need one more term. We have calculated. I will write here matrix terms. Here xi by x. This also we have calculated. This we have calculated. Then eta by dou x. Next dou eta by dou y. This is remaining. Now this remaining. This I will calculate. Now for calculation of this, what I will do, I will use again same equation, that is with respect to y. With respect to y, this equation you can see here this, when we differentiate this equation directly with respect to y, what you will get, it is d eta by dy equal to 1 divided by h1 plus h2 minus h1 divided by l into x is there. Now x I am going to replace by this one, that is I is equal to x. So you will get this one. Okay, so this equation is h1 minus, sorry, h1 plus h2 minus h1 minus h1 divided by l into xi. This is the derivative with respect to eta. Okay, now next one. These are the matrix terms. Now we have to calculate the Jacobian terms. Now what is Jacobian? Already we have written here. Jacobian terms are here a derivative of uh, global or your independent variables in physical plane, that is x, and its derivative with respect to computational plane. Okay, now if we calculate this derivative, then you will get this x is equal to xi, that is x is equal to xi means this derivative of x with respect to xi is, it is 1. Okay, next we have y coordinate, y with respect to dou xi. This is your 0, because if we see this equation y, you will not get any xi here, so here you will get 0 term. Okay, next one you need to find the derivative with respect to eta, that is we need to find dx by d eta and dy by d eta. Now how we can find dx by d eta, now here here this is the relation. It is showing the uh, what we can say, it is the relation between dx and d eta. How we can write this equation? How we can write? You see here, I will write this equation like this. You see here I will write h1 plus h2 minus h1 divided by l is equal to y by eta. Here there is a x. Okay, now next one I will write here h2 minus h1 divided by L into X is equal to H1, it is a minus plus Y by eta. Okay. Next, X is equal to H1 minus H1 divided by H2 minus H1 and this divided by L plus Y divided by H2 minus H1 divided by L into you have eta. Okay. Now, now I will, this is the equation for X. Now what I will do, I will simplify this equation or I will take the derivative. Okay, I will take the derivative. Now after taking the derivative, what you will get here, derivative of X with respect to eta. This becomes, you see here when we take the derivative of X with respect to eta, this term will be 0. And for this term, there is eta term. Now this L I am going to take here, that is Y L divided by H2 minus H1, H2 minus H1, and this is a multiplying factor. Now you have to calculate only derivative of 1 upon eta, and that is your eta square. Okay, that is YL divided by H2 minus H1 eta square. That is the derivative of Y with respect to eta. Okay, now after that you put all these terms in this equation and you calculate the differential equation for okay, one more term is remaining, differential equation for your flow variables. Now what is that term? That term is, I will show you here. We have calculated derivative of x with respect to eta. We need to calculate this term that is x with y with respect to eta. Now for calculation of this y with respect to eta, again you write this equation in your appropriate form, that is for y in terms of eta, and if we write this equation y for y in terms of eta, and after that what you have to write, derivative y in this term we have to take on this side only, and when we take derivative of y with respect to eta, what will get, these whole terms are constant, okay, and so you will get derivative of y with respect to eta, it is equal to h1 plus h2 minus h1 divided by L into you have x, and in place of x you write this xi. Okay, that is the derivative of y with respect to y. Now this you have to put in your differential equation, and with the help of this transformation you can uh, get the differential equations in computational plane. Now for understanding this concept in better fashion, I have taken this example. You see here, it is again your well-known flow problem, that is flow of viscous fluid over a flat plate. Before going to start this, if you have doubt you can ask me. Yes, any doubt here? Grid transformation, we need to transform the differential equations from your what we can say, from physical plane to the computational plane. That is important. Okay, now here this is the stretched grid or compressed grid. Now for that purpose consider a flow of uh, viscous fluid over a flat plate. Now you know this example, it is a here it is your flat plate. This is the boundary of the flat plate, and if you plot the velocity profile over this, you will get Just sorry, I will clean this and I will show you. If you plot this over flat plate, now this is a flat plate. Now this is a fully developed fluid flow, and when we want to calculate the velocity distribution over this flat plate, then your velocity is varying from 0 to maximum in this vertical direction, in the vertical direction. Now here near to this plate, you have you have that means rapid variation in the velocity, and to capture this rapid variation in the velocity near to the surface, a uh, fine grid spacing, that is what we need small grid spacings. Okay, that means here we have uh, small gap between the two grid points. Okay, however, from the surface grid, uh, from the surface grids can be coarse. Okay, that means if we consider the away from the surface grids, away from the surface grids, that grids may be coarse. That means on this side here, this one, this we can use coarse grids, but near to this plate we should have we should have fine grids. And one more thing I want to tell you here, in physical plane, spacing between the horizontal grid lines must change progressively. That means, in if you want to capture the physics of this problem, or in physical plane, your grid spacing should be uh, changing progressively in this y direction, and in but this is not acceptable in case of finite difference approximation. So if you convert that into computational plane, in that plane you should have uniform grid spacing. Now you can see here, now you can get idea from this what we are doing here. This grid spacing is not acceptable for finite difference approximation, so this we need to transform from this plane to this plane. Okay, where your grid spacing is uniform in vertical direction. Okay, now for getting this simple transformation, we have these equations. You see here, we have these equations. One is xi is equal to x. Why I have used the xi is equal to x? Because again you go back to this one. Now see here, in case of uh, horizontal direction, in x direction, here spacing between the grids is constant. That means if we consider this spacing is constant. That is delta x is constant. Okay, it is not changing, and that is acceptable for finite difference approximation. But in vertical direction, it is not acceptable. So your horizontal coordinate or x coordinate we can keep as it is. That is xi is equal to x. But we need to we need some transformation for for what we can say, um, for vertical direction. Vertical direction, that is spacing between the horizontal grid lines in vertical direction. Now that transformation equation I have written here, and that transformation equation is eta is equal to log of y plus 1, log of y plus 1. Now see here, these equations I am not going to derive. This is the, I think, uh, this is uh, it is research from the mathematics or from the CFD. If you are able to develop any equation for the transformation which is not yet developed, then it will become a research. Okay, now this is the eta is equal to log of y plus 1. Now inverse transformation, you can see here again, x is equal to psi and y is equal to e raised to, or e raised to n minus 1, e raised to n minus 1, that is this derivative. this derivative e raised not e raised to n, e raised to eta minus 1. Okay, e raised to eta minus 1. Now when we differentiate both the things, if we first I will differentiate this one for for getting the Greene spacing. Now here if I differentiate this one, dy by d eta, it is becomes e raised to n or e raised to eta. Okay, now dy is equal to e raised to eta dn. Now delta y is equal to e raised to eta and delta n. Why? Because I have dy is also small grid spacing, and delta y is also small grid spacing. We can use delta y as a regular notation for uh, grid spacing. So from this equation, that is vertical grid lines are uniformly spaced in both physical and computational planes. Okay, and grid spacing delta x is equal to delta xi. That means for this we can use directly delta x is equal to delta xi, which is same throughout the domain. However, in case of horizontal grid lines, these are uniformly spaced in computational plane. That is delta n, delta eta is uniform. In physical plane, these lines are stretched. Okay, these lines are stretched. You can see here in physical plane. Here, these lines are stretched towards the boundary. Okay. Now, now, now for finding the relation between this delta y and delta eta, I have done this process, and we got that equation, that is delta y is equal to a raised to eta delta n. Now, in this equation, when we move away from the plane, eta increases, and when eta increases, uh, delta y becomes progressively large. Why? Because if we keep this constant, this term constant, and when we increase this term is going to increase. Okay, that means if you go back to this one, you see here, when we increase the eta in this one, your y is going to increase. At this eta is increasing in this direction, and your delta eta is constant. Delta eta is constant, but when we increase this one, you have relation y is equal to e raised to eta into delta uh, delta eta. Delta eta is constant, but because of this, we are getting increase in this y, or it is delta y. You can see delta y, not y. Okay. Now that means what we can say? We can say when we move in vertical direction away from the boundary, we have uniform grid spacing in computational plane. At the same time, the value of delta y in physical plane increasing progressively. This is known as a stretched grid. Now we have to consider this effect of this grid transformation on continuity equation. Now here I have taken specific equation, that is a continuity equation, for getting the or for understanding the idea of this grid transformation. Now here this is your continuity equation. Now how we can transform the governing differential equations from physical plane to the computational plane, that I will show you. Now what you have this as a continuity equation in physical plane. Continuity equation in physical plane, we need to transform this into the computational plane. Now first we have to transform the derivative. How we can transform the derivative? This is dou rho u into dou with respect to dou xi into dou xi by dou x. Now this differential term we have replaced by this and this one. Okay, here dou rho u with respect to dou eta by dou x. Already we have written this equation, but not for specific variable. Here I have written these equations for specific variable. Okay, now plus plus dou rho v by dou xi and dou xi by dou y, okay, plus dou rho v dou eta by dou y. Now here these are the equations. Now we have to calculate these terms, okay. This is a what we can say, this is formal transformation. Now for that purpose we have this equation, that is xi is equal to x, xi is equal to x, so we will get dou xi by dou x is equal to 1, okay. Now next one, xi eta by xi x, you have equation eta is equal to ln, that is log of y plus 1. So if I calculate the integrated derivative of eta with respect to x, that will be the 0, this second term. Now next thing, dou xi by dou y, dou xi by dou y. Now again here, this is your 0 term, dou xi by dou y. Now xi is only function of x, so its derivative with respect to y is 0, okay. Next term we need, that is dou eta by dou y, dou eta by dou y. Now this is ln. Now log of y plus 1, log of y plus 1, so its derivative is 1 upon y plus 1, 1 upon y plus 1, okay. Now this is your derivative terms. Now I will put all these terms in this equation. Now how this equation will be written, here it is dou rho u by dou xi, next into you have dou xi by dou x, dou xi by dou x is 1, it is 1 plus dou rho u by dou eta by dou x, eta by dou x is 0, so whole this term becomes 0, okay. Now next one, dou rho v by dou xi plus dou xi by dou y, dou xi y by dou y, sorry, this is your 0 term, so sorry, this term is also 0, okay. And after getting this term 0, you go to the next one, dou rho v by dou rho v by dou eta into dou eta by dou y, it is 1 upon y plus 1, 1 upon y plus 1, it is equal to 0, it is equal to 0. Now you go back here. Now if you go to this one, y is equal to e raised to eta plus minus 1, because we have tried the equations in terms of the xi and eta, so we have to replace y by, I will write here y is equal to e raised to eta minus 1. Now when I put this y in this equation, this 1 will be cancelled with 1 and you will get 1 upon e raised to eta. So you will get dou rho u by dou xi plus 1 upon eta e raised to eta into dou rho v by dou eta, and this equal to 0. Now you take this on this side, you will get this equation. You see here, this is a continuity equation in a computational domain by your direct transformation. You have got this? If you have doubt, you can ask me. Yes or no? Any doubt? Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. Now this is your formal transformation. Now you can see here by inverse transformation also you will get Same thing. Now how we can get same thing by inverse transformation? Now you have inverse transformation, that is, okay, where it is written. Okay, it is written. I will write here in inverse transformation. You have x is equal to xi and y is equal to e raised to eta minus 1, because your eta is equal to log of y plus 1, but when we take the inverse you will get y is equal to e raised to eta minus 1. That is your inverse transformation. Now for inverse transformation we need matrix terms. Now what are the matrix terms? Now these are the matrix terms here. These are matrix terms. Now dou x by dou xi, this one, dou x by dou xi, and this is equal to, here you can see here dou x by dou xi is 1. Okay, now dou x by dou eta, now this will be the, when we differentiate this equation with respect dou x with respect to eta, it becomes 0. Next, dou y by dou eta, dou y by dou eta, it is again e raised to eta. Okay, e raised to eta. And next one, dou y by dou xi, dou y by dou xi, it becomes 0. Okay, because if you differentiate this with respect to xi, you will get 0. Now you have calculated this term and these two terms. Now we need to calculate the Jacobian. Now you know the Jacobian matrix, and this Jacobian matrix is J is equal to determinant of Jacobian is dou x by dou xi, next dou y by dou xi, next dou x by dou eta, next dou y by dou eta. Now after this, if you put here dou x by dou eta, dou x by dou eta is 1. It is, you can see here, I will write here, it is 1, dy by d eta is 0, and this dx by d eta is again 0, and this is e raised to eta. Okay, now when we take the determinant of this, you will get e raised to eta, e raised to eta. Now you have to put all these terms in this equation. You will get your continuity equation as 1 upon j is 1 upon eta e raised to eta. Next, here dou rho u by dou psi dy by d eta. Dy by d eta is e raised to eta. E raised to eta minus dou rho u by dou eta dy by d xi. Dy by d xi is this term. This is 0. So your this term is also, this term is 0. Next, 1 upon j, again it is, this is only one term here. Okay, now 1 upon j is 1 upon eta e raised to eta. Now inside the brackets dou rho phi by dou eta and dou x by dou xi is 1. Now we will get dou rho phi by dou eta into you have 1. Okay, now next term is here dx by deta. Now this derivative, here it is, you can see here, this is 0, this term is 0, so you will get this term also 0. Now you will get only one term. Now I will, this is equal to 0 according to continuity equation. Now I will multiply by e raised to eta. Now this will cancel, this will cancel when we move on this side, and you will get this e raised to eta dou rho u by dou xi plus dou rho v by dou eta, it is equal to 0. Now this equation we have calculated from the inverse transformation, and this equation we have calculated from the direct transformation or formal transformation, and both equations we have got same, that is both continuity equations are same, calculated from the inverse and what we can say, that is uh, formal transformation. Okay, and in this way we can transform the uh, governing equation from physical plane to the computational plane, physical plane to the computational plane. Have you got it? If you have doubt, you can ask me. Now this, I think this has cleared your idea. Have you got the concept what we are going to do it? Yes or no? What we are going to do? See here, when we use finite difference method, this process is required. Yes. Someone want to ask the question? Yes or no? Okay. Next, I will move to the next one. Next is concept of boundary repeated coordinate system. Now here, boundary repeated coordinate system, we have seen the algebraic transformation. Here I am not going for any transformation. We will discuss only the process. That means we will not go for any derivation of the governing differential equation. Now, for this one repeated, sorry, for this one repeated coordinate system, consider a flow through divergent duct. Here you are getting this flow through the divergent duct. Now, in this figure, here curve D, which is the upper wall of the duct, and line FG is the center line of the divergent duct. Okay, divergent duct, that is the center line of divergent duct. Now you can see here, if you consider this from here, your divergent duct is starting. Your convergent divergent cone, you know it here, like this. Okay. Now this is a divergent cone, na? Or it is divergent duct. Now if it is starting from here, and if I use center line at this location, okay, then you will get this type of flow here. Now it is taken as a curve, okay, as a boundary for representation of the duct. Okay. Now in this problem, simple rectangular grid is not appropriate. Okay, because a finite difference method is not accepting this type of grids. Okay, thus I have drawn curvilinear grid points, and which are as shown in this figure, you can see. Now, and this curvilinear grid points are allowing us the upper boundary DE, and the center line FG to be the coordinate lines. Okay, you can use this DE as a coordinate line and FG as also coordinate line, and that is exactly fitting with the boundaries. Okay, again the curvilinear grid, because of this curve and non-uniform spacing, we need to transform from this to the computational plane. Okay, now this is done by using the equations which I will show you in next slide. Now see here, curvilinear at upper boundary must be transformed, already I have told you. Now for that purpose, let ys is a function of x be ordinate at top face, at ordinate at top face. That means on top boundary you have y is equal to function of x. Y is equal to function of x, and this function is in a such a fashion that it is capturing. That means all grid points are coming on the boundary. Okay, then we have, if you have this one, then you will get this transformation. You see here the transformation in a computational plane or in a rectangular grid. Okay, in xi eta space is xi is equal to x, because again here also we have same spacing required, or same spacing is available in x direction, and x direction coordinate in x direction not necessary to change. Now here I have written eta is equal to y upon ys. Ys here, ys is a function of x. Ys is a function of x. Now again I will go back. Y is equal to y plus s, or divided by s. Now if we consider this d point, you can see here this d point, and here I have written the equation for d point. How it is coming equal to 1, you can see here. Y is equal to coordinate, y coordinate of, or eta of coordinate d, it is equal to the y coordinate of d, and it is a function of x at that location. Okay, and y, yes, it is also function of x at that location. So we will get y, yes, which is a function of xd, that is x coordinate at t, y, yes, that is a x coordinate at d, and this equal to 1. Okay, now same thing if we go for the c point. C point, again for C point, you can see here nc is equal to yc plus yc divided by ys, yc divided by ys. So what you will get here, yc is equal to it is a function of c, that is xc, that is a x coordinate of c. Okay, and it is function of c, so you will get that equal to 1. Okay, now see here, hence in computational plane d is located along the eta coordinate direction, or eta coordinate, and that value of eta coordinate is equal to 1. Now if we observe the c point, the c point in the physical plane is different than the d point in the physical plane, because yc is greater than yd. Now but what happens, because that transformation, you are getting eta coordinate that equal to the 1 for c also. Now that means what we are going to conclude from this, this is the same to eta coordinate of point d, as well as all the points on that boundary. Okay, that means all points on the upper boundary that are lying on a boundary in computational plane, and in computational plane coordinates of all these points are same, so you are getting the uniform rectangular grid in computational plane. This is this type of, what we can say, this type of coordinate system is known as a boundary fitted coordinate system. Okay, this is known as boundary fitted coordinate system. Now consider one more example of this one. Now for that purpose, consider a aerofoil shape as shown in figure. Okay, here a curvilinear grid line is wrapped around the aerofoil, which I have shown at the start of this unit also, or this content, that is grid transformation. Now here aerofoil shape as shown in figure, a curvilinear grid lines are wrapped around the aerofoil, and their one coordinate, that is eta, is equal to eta 1, that is equal to constant and is on the aerofoil surface. Okay, and this is your inner boundary of the grid. This is your inner boundary of the grid. That means here, if you observe this one, where it is, this one here, eta is equal to constant, and that will be the same on a boundary. This one, same on a boundary. Now, suppose that boundary we are going to designate by gamma 1 here, this one, gamma 1, okay, in both physical and computational plane. That means this boundary we are going to represent by gamma 1 in both physical and computational plane. The outer boundary of the this grid structure, it is suppose gamma 2 here. Suppose this boundary, this outer boundary, it is actually, it is not exact, it is arbitrary. This is your gamma 1, sorry, gamma 2, this one, okay, and here you will get gamma 2 as outer boundary. Okay, now it is arbitrary, and it is depending upon the flow, how much flow domain you have considered. Okay, now you have to see this grid clearly. Now fitting the boundary, it is fitting the boundary, so it is known as a boundary fitted coordinate system. The lines which are coming out from the inner boundary to the outer boundary, okay, and that are intersecting to the inner as well as outer boundary, and these lines are for the constant xi coordinate, constant xi coordinate. And if we consider the, where it is, EF line, if we consider this EF line here, from here to here, now this is xi is equal to constant curve. Now we can designate a numerical value of for xi. For example, along the curve EF, we might designate xi is equal to 0.1. Along the curve GH, we might xi is equal to 0.2. Okay, on this. That means this is not correct value. We can designate it. Okay, such a grid 0.2. Again, if we see the figure, the lines of constant eta totally includes the aerofoil. This is like a elongated circle. That means if you consider this coordinate system, it is going to enclose the aerofoil, and this, because of this enclosing aerofoil, what we are getting? We are getting the one elongated circle around this aerofoil, and that elongated circle, even we get elongated circle along this is known as a O type grid for the aerofoil. Are you getting this? That means it is a specific name, that is O grid for aerofoil. And next, another form is, if we have curvilinear grid, then if we have eta is equal to constant line trailing in downwards downstream. That means here eta is equal to constant if we take in downstream direction to the right, which may not close the aerofoil on all boundaries, then that grid is known as C type grid. That means if you have considered this one, if it is like this, if it is open at this location, okay, then this type of grid generation is known as a C type grid. Okay, now same problem, how we can see this, or how we can get this elliptic grid generation, I will tell you. Now for that purpose, And consider this again same figure. You can see here you will get what we can say, here you will get this C type grid generation. You will have here, it is opening, and because of that opening we are not getting the O type grid. We will get the C type grid. Okay. Now consider this again aerofoil enclosed by the curvilinear grid. For getting the mapping of this grid from physical plane to the computational plane, let us imagine the grid which is drawn on the top surface. Okay. On this boundary, x y, x comma y, and this is known as unknown. These values are known along the this boundary, along this boundary. That means on this inner boundary you have known values of the x and y. Means your this boundary is known in computational plane. Okay. Now for any given point, this value of gamma 1 is known. Gamma 2 is also known because of gamma 1 is arbitrary, gamma 2 is arbitrary loop around the zero. Okay. Thus, physical conditions on outer boundary, this again here on this boundary or on this boundary here, xy is equal to gamma 2. Here this boundary is known and this boundary is known. Okay. This is on inner boundary and this is outer boundary. Now when we consider, this results in a boundary value problem. Okay, because the conditions on no, so this is in a boundary value problem where boundary conditions, that is x y values, are known everywhere along the boundary. Now specifying from these boundary conditions everywhere along the boundary, enclosing the domain in a requirement of a solution for elliptic type partial differential equation. Okay, if we go for your elliptic type partial differential equation, which I have explained uh, during the finite differential equation, this type of domain was there, and here there was a temperature, and that temperature is known. Here you have temperature, that temperature is known, or here you have temperature, that temperature is known. Here you have temperature, that temperature is known. You have to find the temperatures, interior temperatures. Now, if these boundary conditions are known, you can find this interior by using elliptic partial differential equation. Elliptic partial differential equation. Thus, the transformation is suitable. Here is an elliptic partial differential equation. The case of simple elliptic equation is a Laplace equation. Laplace equation like this. Here, simple elliptic equation, Laplace equation. That means your domain is transformed from physical plane to the computational plane by using this Laplace equations. Okay, Laplace equation. This is the Laplace equation for coordinate, and this is the Laplace equation for coordinate. And with the help of this, your physical domain will be transformed to the computational domain. Okay. Now next one. Now these are the equations, two equations which are used to transform. And in this equation, xi and eta are dependent variables, and x and y are independent variables. Now in case of inverse transformation, where x and y become dependent variable and xi and eta are the independent variables, which gives the transformed equation like this. You can see here, if we consider the inverse transformation, and in case of inverse transformation, you will get this type of transformation, that is alpha d2x by dx square minus 2 beta d2x by d xi into eta plus gamma d2x by dx square. Okay. And for second equation, for y transformation, you are getting this equation. Okay, this is the inverse transformation, and where you have alpha is equal to square of derivative of x with respect to eta and derivative of y with respect to eta. Okay, and beta is equal to x with respect to d xi and x with respect to eta. Just a minute. Okay, and you will get this y with respect to d xi and dy by d eta. Alpha, it is square of x with respect to xi and y with respect to uh, z. Now, if you observe this equation number 3 and 4, the elliptic partial differential equation with respect to x and y are dependent variables, and xi and eta are the independent variables. If you consider this inverse transformation, in inverse transformation, your x and y are the dependent variable, and these are the functions of xi and eta, which are independent variable. These equations allows us to find the values of x, y coordinates of the grid points in a physical plane. That means with the help of these equations, we can find the value of x and y in the physical plane, and that are the functions of xi and eta. Location of the same grid points in computational plane. However, for the properly pose the elliptic partial differential equation problem, we need all boundary to be specified. Sorry, that means we need all the boundaries that should be known to us. Okay, for elliptic equation. Okay, now for that purpose, what you have to do, you consider this as a domain in computational plane. Okay, it is bounded above and below by boundaries tau, that is gamma 1 and gamma 2. Okay, on right and left it is bounded by gamma 4 and gamma 3. Okay, now if we consider the above equations, that is here these equations, if we specify boundaries x and y along the boundaries gamma 2 and gamma 1, only we need to specify the same boundary conditions by gamma 3 and gamma 4 to get proper posed problem. To accomplish this, consider the extreme right problem, which is where it is, you go back to this one here, extreme right problem of O grid, and cut this to the trailing edge of the aerofoil. This cut now produces the two additional boundaries, and these boundaries are PQ. These boundaries are PQ, that is, here I have written PQ and ESR denoted by gamma 3 and gamma 4. You can see here these are the two boundary conditions. Here this one, it is gamma 4, and this one, it is gamma 3. Okay, now sorry, actually what happens in reality, this QP and SR are the same curves in XY plane. QP represents the upper surface and SR represents the lower surface, but they lie on the top plane of each other. Okay, top of each other in physical plane. The points Q and S lie on the top of each other. Okay, P and R lie on top of each other. P and R, where it is P and R, you can observe this P and R. You can observe the Q and S. Okay, so entire boundary by gamma 3, gamma 3 is above this gamma 4. Okay, however, this is not in case of Zion eta plane. Zion eta plane. Here you can observe this Zion eta plane. In Zion eta plane, gamma 3 and gamma 4 are totally different from the right and left side. You can see here this is your PQ and this is your RES. That boundary is here gamma 3 and this boundary is your gamma 4. Okay. And this left and right boundaries, okay, it is same to the O grid in physical plane after cut is made and unwrapped with gamma 4 being swing below the below and out of the left. Okay, in computational plane, P and S are separate grid arbitrary separate grid points, and R and P are separate grid points. That is P and uh, what we can say P and R and Q and S. If you observe that P and R are different and Q and R are different. Okay, the cut is made arbitrary, but once cut is made, XY coordinates along the cut can be known. This means we have values of XY along these boundaries and gamma 3 and gamma 4. Now from relationship between the physical and computational plane, we can state and get the following boundaries. Okay, what are that boundaries? Here I have shown that boundaries. You can see here. That is, here XY are known and your XY are known on all these four boundaries. So we can use elliptic grid generation for this one. Okay, and how to solve this? This we can solve by again finite difference approximation. Okay, finite difference approximation we can use for this one. Okay, now in this way, as here already I have told you, that is transformation is your transformation is a simple algebraic transformation, then your partial differential approximation transformation, and your what we can say physical or conformal transformation. Here I have shown you partial differential equation transformation, and that partial differential equation transformation, it is obtained by uh, obtained from the boundary conditions. If you see here the properties of the problem, depending upon the properties of the problem, you are getting the boundaries. That means here in this problem, gamma 1, gamma 2, and gamma 3, gamma 4, that is the four sides of this domain. And on these four sides, you have known values of the x, y. And this is a properly pose the boundary value problem. Okay, properly pose the boundary value problem. And if it is a properly pose the boundary value problem, best equation for solving this type of problems is elliptic equation. Okay, and this elliptic equation gives the equations for or solutions for your grid transformation. For each grid point inside the domain, in the figure or in this figure, can be solved numerically. That means for finding the any grid point inside this domain, we can use numerical method, and we can solve this by using the boundary value problem, which gives the corresponding value of the xy coordinate. Okay. Now, for understanding this, you consider the point A in both physical and computational plane. At point A, in a computational plane, we have differential equation, that is uh, Laplace equation. Okay, that equation will be solved for its x and y coordinates. This will give the location of point A in a physical plane. By using same procedure, we can calculate the spacing, or we can calculate the position of grid points, and that are located in terms of the xi and eta, okay, for all grid points. The solution for the solution for these equations uh, is obtained by using appropriate finite difference approximation, and which will be for elliptic equation. The transformation is carried out via a system of elliptic partial differential equations. It is called as a elliptic grid generation. The elliptic grid generation does not give the closed form analytical solution, but it produces a set of numbers, and that set of numbers we can use for locating the grid points in xy plane in a physical space, okay, and that xy points that are correspond to the grid points in a computational plane. In this transformation, the matrix terms are obtained from the finite difference approximation at any given point. Generally, central difference approximation is preferred and is used for the calculation of matrix terms, okay, and this equation which I have written here, that is your uh, central difference approximation for calculation of the matrix term. Now you will get this in terms of the numbers, not in terms of the equations, okay. These values of the matrix are directly used for transforming the governing differential equation, okay. Now I will stop here. If you have doubt, you can ask me.